down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
Savvy investors, it's another day. Hopefully it's bright and exciting for you, because it is for me. Because one of my friends, Mr. Mystery Man, not only that he popped a deal, got the deal funded from private money. So like, if you can, let me just set the stage here. So a friend of mine been coming to the classes, been hanging out at the meetups, all of a sudden spend some money on some marketing, putting out signs, taking calls, mailing postcards, throwing the cash on the table. Next thing you know, gets a call, works the deal. It's a long process of that deal. It wasn't easy. Gets it under contract. Wasn't easy. Was it out of city? Was it not far away person? It wasn't in the city, right? It was the owner of the property was.
The owner of the property was out of town.
Okay, so you got to chase that down. Email contracts, phone, la da 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 da. Then gets it under contract. Then has to go find the money, which is nerve-wracking, and we'll cover all this in other episodes. So Mystery Man, Life Unveiled on the Savvy Radio Show. Then he gets the funding, which is like, you just got to freaking give him a hand clap. I mean, this is success story 101. I'm just excited for him. He's elated. He's willing to jump back up on the Savvy Radio Show. So then he closes, which he just pulls out all the stops, pre-signs for a closing, just does all the veteran things on his first rookie deal, and now you have the keys. Or did you even get the keys? You don't even have the keys.
Don't have the keys. Tenants are still in there.
Tenants are in there. So this series, I don't know what it's going to call or what we're going to do, the Mystery Man phenomena, but I came up with this thing. Now what? I got the house. Now what? I got it under contract. Now what? I'm a beginner. Now what? What books to read? Now what? So this Mystery Man friend of mine has a property, closed on it. It's in your name. You own it, and you have no keys.
That's right.
Okay. And you're just real cash about it. Now, we celebrated. What'd you close? Was it yesterday? Yesterday morning. Today's Tuesday. We're in the end of the September, so this is going to air later, so don't try to figure it out. Just roll with us. All right. So the first thing that you need to do, I think, is you always have to find out what's your goals, what's your agenda. Number one, I think you need to let them know in writing that you now own the property. And so you've got to draft a letter. I have this letter. If you need this letter, it's in my forms book, but you contact the tenants, and I would do it by mail, and I would post it on their door. Because you don't want to be, if these tenants, if they're disgruntled in any way, you probably would certified mail it, because you don't want to get down the road and, I paid the rent to the last guy. I've seen many court cases where I pay, and she even has stubs, because you could show up to court with stubs of a money order, but where's the money order?
All right.
Because it could be she could make the money order out to them. Now, I'm not saying that this tenant is shady, but as a real estate investor / now landlord, you've got to know who you're dealing with and what your process. So number one thing right out the gate, inform them that there is ownership has changed. Has changed, and that they need to contact you for all maintenance. They need all new payments, all payments in general must stop, whatever goes to this. So if you are just starting out, as you are, Mr. Mystery Man, you probably should have a Google Voice number where they call you. I wouldn't necessarily, you can give them your cell phone number, but most uneducated tenants, they will call you at 4:00 at night. And I don't know, I know you well enough that your phone goes off all the time because there's a potential lead. Nothing would be a worse thing than you're thinking you got a call coming in, you think it's a lead, and there's something wrong with the toilet. So I would definitely start, if you're going to do it right, start out right, go get a Google Voice number that's dedicated to property management. Okay, so
tenant call rail number.
Tenant call rail. If you don't know, Mr. Mystery Man is a wholesaler. Start out, which you should do, and he uses a software called CallRail
Correct.
that records the calls, tracks the calls, and you can respond through CallRail to call them back.
And you can, correct. And you can also get up to 10 different phone numbers with this program.
Okay, cool. CallRail. All right. So now what? Okay. Well, the first thing is, do you know what they're charging for rent?
They were paying their father $500 whole dollars.
And what is the market rent for the property?
$1,100 to $1,300.
Okay, let's give people a scope of what $1,100 to $1,300 gets.
4-bedroom, 2-bath.
Okay.
About 1,400 square feet.
And is there a garage?
There is a detached 1-car garage.
Central heat and air?
Central heat and air.
Okay. Location? Nice. Don't give out the address because we want people to stalk them. Nice area. It's a hot property. Let's just get to the point here, homie.
Yeah.
This is a smoking effing
nice
deal.
area.
Okay, this is a slam dunk. Like I wish I had it type of deal. But I'm so excited for it. All right, so you got a hot property with some tenants in there that are family related. Okay?
Yes.
So that's a disclosure. So now
Daughters.
Why is this a premise? Why do I say this? Because here's the deal. I always look at what's the worst case scenario. What's the worst thing that can happen? You have to evict them. Well, my daddy said this. Grandma said that. So you've got to hedge against any circumstance or all circumstances that may come arise. Now, one time I bought an apartment building and it was way under rented. Like the efficiency was $350. The 1-bedroom was $450. This was a 10-unit apartment building. Everything's going great. Everyone knew before I closed the property, people were mailing me checks with $100 more. They knew there was $100. I never even asked them to raise the rent. But you do need to follow the law, and you have to, if you're going to raise the rent, you have to do it in writing, and you have to give them 30-day notice. So there are several ways. Now, do they know that the dad was paying $250 more for the mortgage payment? Because the dad was paying the mortgage payment of $750. Is that kind of a round number?
Yes.
Do you know, to your knowledge, does the tenant know that?
Well, they know that he wasn't paying all of it because that's kind of how I ended up with the property.
Okay, so when we'll get into this deal later, that he was in default or almost in default.
Correct.
And basically, just to get it out real fast, but you're going to go into all the details on another episode where he was just frustrated paying for this, and come to find out that the tenants were, or the relatives were paying, but he wasn't paying the mortgage at some times. Is that kind of correct? There was a lot of drama with this property, and Mr. Mystery Man came in and solved the problem, and that's what you should do as a real estate investor is solve problems. People have a problem, they need to sell a house, great, you're going to profit from it because you solve problems. So, but we have a problem, you have a problem. You have a property that obviously is way under rented by 50%. So, how do you handle this? How would you handle it, Mr. Mystery Man? What was your first plan before I correct you? Before I smash you on radio? Because we've been dealing with this for a couple of days, and I've been slow rolling you, and I was like, we need to put this on the radio because I don't want to repeat myself.
I'm ready to go down there and
hit him with the baseball bat.
That's right. Gonna stick something on the door. You owe me now this much.
Now that's what uneducated real estate investors or soon-to-be landlords would do, and you can do that, okay? But what if they scream bloody murder that they got black mold, and you're a bad slumlord? So what I would do is I wouldn't do it that approach. I would, because I don't like to create disgruntled tenants. Plus, disgruntled people tend to tear stuff up on the way out, correct? Right. So you've got to, there's a trick in here, and a lot of the veterans are going to laugh on this one or smile quickly. There's a thing called cash for keys. Now, but you have to kind of back it up one more step here. What do you want to go down? Now, you're just new to the game. If they move out, you're going to have to do some repairs. Now, you got cash at closing, which is just rare, but you do have enough cash to get it up to snuff. And so if I was your coach or advisor, probably evict them, get rid of them as soon as possible. I know this is disheartening to some of you out there, and use the money that you have and get the $1,100 a month. Pimp it out. The amount of money that you received at closing, I know what the number is, and I don't want to break that. I don't want to spoil the great episode that we got coming up on a deal. But And that's probably what the smart investor should do, not emotional investor. This is an emotional situation. Now, I know that you've had communications with the seller that you would try to keep them in there, but you can't keep them in there at $500. So the first thing I would do would knock on their door. Hey, I'm the new, you seen me before. I'm the new property manager. I would not come out and say I'm the new owner. Okay, because when you say that you're the owner, now you're Big Daddy Robux and you got all the money in the world. I'm the property manager. Oh, this is a company. Well, if this is a company and you come across this way, there's an army behind you. If you come as an owner, it's me against the world. Okay. And so that's one thing that you need to get across. I'm just a property manager. I don't mean to be bearer of bad news. This house is completely under rented. What can you afford? That would be my first question. Guys, well, we can only afford $500. Hey, I just want to give you a heads up. It's the 27th of the month. We're going to raise the rent to the market rent. I don't know what that is right now. It's probably going to be between $900 and $1,100. Always give them a range, and then back that data up with the Craigslist listings. And then the next day or an hour later, pull it out of your vehicle and hit them with that. So what can they afford? They may not be dumb, and they may be able to afford $800 or $900 a month. In the condition of the property, because I've seen the property, right? Because I've been through this whole deal with you. Right. If they're willing to pay $900 a month or $800, I would let it ride for a little while just to get your bearings in order. But again, you have no documentation on this tenant. That's your first problem. So that's another thing. So first of all, let's rewind it. What's my goal and my agenda? As a real estate investor, I don't want headaches and I want to make money. So you're going to have a headache regardless, because if they're already paying $500 for a 4-bedroom, 2-bath in the hottest area of Oklahoma City, so you're going to have to move them out. You can move them out slowly and do it nicely. I wouldn't hit them with the baseball bat. Now, if it gets disgruntled when you go and post this notice, then you need to start whipping out certified mailing stuff to them and communicating with them legally. But come across as a nice guy. Hey, we want to solve this problem. Are you aware of what and I always start with a question. Are you aware of what the rents are in the neighborhood? Okay. What can you afford? Okay. And you can always say no. You'd be, I learned this. I can't take that line. What can you afford? That's not me. That's not the Savvy Landlord. That's Mr. Landlord, Jeffrey Taylor. I like it. Okay. He would never advertise a price in his listings. And he would just pre-qualify them right there. And of course you have to adhere to the housing authority, whatever. You can't bait and switch, but you can always come down, but you could say it's $1,500 in your inner office memo, and you could, I can only afford $1,200 a month. Now, I don't play this technique because people are all cheap around anyway. And where he lives in his market in Virginia, there's many times where he says, what can you afford has been $50 more. Well, we can only find a property that's $1,000 a month. Okay. You see what I'm saying? And he's got an $800 unit. Right. So that would be my first thing. And I would try to build a relationship with them, but I would be firm and matter of fact. And you need to come across as the property manager. I got a job. I got to get it done. We just closed yesterday. That hopefully Dad has communicated to them. I'm assuming that he has, but just don't play that game that you don't. So where's your action plan? Your action plan is you're going to raise the rent. You're going to give them an option. And what if they don't play? First of all, do you have any questions from here before we roll on?
I just need to get the form, I guess, or the sheet that I need to
cover letter.
That I'm not. And I guess bat savvy. He used to actually go down there and use it. Housing approved. And keep myself legal. Yeah. Okay. So then what if they're compliant and then you have to ask the question. You might go month to month with them and figure it out. They have a lot of stuff. They seem like they were hoarders. When we went and looked at the property, you as a real estate investor, you need to go on the property and be Dick Tracy. You kind of look at the mailboxes overflowing with packages, and you go in the house and you can barely get in. They're obviously hoarders. And where are they going to do with this stuff? Have you looked into the garage? Have you tried to figure out how long is it going to take to clean this thing out? All right.
but you've got to get on the ball now to give them, to basically raise the rent. So let's, for example, you go over there, today's the 27th, it's a Tuesday, and they don't give you an answer. Well, you, by the 31st or the 30th of this month, you've got to tell them what the rent is.
Right.
As we don't have a lease in place as of today, your rent is $850, or just push it up $100. I think if you push it up to $1,000 and they don't pay, and you do have to evict them, which is normal. You can evict people, okay, even if you don't have leases, because they have to have a lease. Because in the state of Oklahoma, it goes to an automatic 30-day, month-to-month process. When let's just say you hit them with you go in there with a baseball bat. It's $1,100 a month. You need to pay me by the 1st. Well, if they don't pay you and then you evict them, they're going to stand in front of a judge.
Sure.
And they're going to look, and all judges, it depends on if they sit on a tack or not. All millionaires are zillionaires. All landlords are zillionaires or millionaires, and they will. This is usury. This is unacceptable, unfair. So that's, now when you go to court, and I'll coach you before you go to court, you need to have market analysis done. This is what rentometer.com says. This is what the listings on Craigslist. This is what the comp say. And then I would have, even to be gangster, have an affidavit from a real estate agent, a realtor, sign off on the rent, or a property manager that is a real estate agent has a license with an affidavit that says this area is $1,300. Mr. Mystery Man is being gracious by offering it for $850.
Nice.
Okay, that's a little caveat there. So, the little trick for you there, you don't want to stand in court, well, we're broke, we have no place to move, big bad landlord kicks us out. Or I paid my rent and they can't prove it.
Yeah, not a good way to start.
Yeah, you just don't. So if you go in there and test them out and feel them out and know where they're coming from, and we already have a general idea, it just makes life smoother. You look professional, and ma'am, I have to honor the law, and the law says this. And then where I'm being nice, and then you document, Your Honor, I said, what can you afford to pay? Yeah, that is a trick, because I want them to pay the maximum. But if they come out and say, I can only pay $500, now you know what you're dealing with. Now you know where this is going to go. $500, I need to get $1,000. Your new mortgage payment is what? $700 a month right now? Roughly. I mean, again, you're going to get into that deal later, which you have an interest-only loan on there, but I don't want to get so excited. But still, right, you have a mortgage payment. So the property cannot function. You can't pay property taxes, insurance, and maintenance for $500 a month. It's impossible.
No way.
And you don't have to justify that with them. The judge is not going to understand that. No one understands that. Only your local friendly real estate investor understands the pain and the sorrow that you have to go through to be a successful real estate investor. All right. So you recap it for me. Tell me what you're going to do.
Go down there. I'm going to give them nice, slow, easy strokes and be the nice, friendly property manager. I'm going to honor the law.
I want to help you. Do you guys want to move? And, you can start off with that too. Hey, do you guys plan on moving? They usually pee their pants when I say that. Hey, what do you mean? What do you mean? And that's, these are all emotional techniques that you can use just to call them out. But we don't know. There's people like the one that apartment building that I had, they just started mailing in $100 extra checks. Seriously, it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. On the first of the month, I was getting $550 checks. I was like, wow, I never gave out a notice. Those tenants knew that they were getting over on the other investor or landlord or whatever you want to call them. But then eventually I did officially, because the law says you have to treat everyone equally in your business, a fair housing law. So you have to definitely put it in writing eventually. So it is a long process. You got to post this notice. Hey, because I didn't know who my landlord was. It's the 10th of the month. Yeah. That's why you should mail it. If you really want to certified mail it, I would definitely knock on the door. Definitely swing by there after work. Hey, I want to introduce yourself. Hey, my name is Mystery Man, and I am the new property manager. Here's my business card. Blank, blank, blank. We want to take care of you. What's your plans? What are you doing? Are you aware of that? Your father or aunt or uncle sold the property. I just want to know what you guys want to do. Oh, we really want to stay here. Okay. If they say that, then you say, okay, do you know what the market rents are? No, I don't. Ooh. Well, you guys get on Craigslist. I'll be back. Go find a place and call me back. Well, then you got to hit them with the news. You got that number's got to come out sometime. And I would do all this in a conversation just so, we're not creating an enemy. We're creating a team environment that this is a win-win situation. Legally, you probably have to accept the $500 today or the first of the month.
Sure.
Because they can probably prove they've been paying that somewhere. Let's just say, again, we're always in front of a judge. We need to honor everything. But they say they have 100 bank statements, 100 blank checks, Daddy Robux. I'm paying $500 a month. The judge is going to slide with them. He's going to say he's going to discount everything in $500. But if they don't pay, you can evict them. So you got to be on the ball. You got to know the number. And then that day, that 30th, you needed to put it in writing. And I would certified mail it just to be safe. Your new rent is blank amount of money, whatever you feel comfortable with.
That's great advice.
All right. Oh, that's what we do here at the Savvy Radio Show. Now what? I got the property. I got a tenant in there. Now what? Well, again, recap one more time. I'm sorry I'm hitting it hard today. What's your goals? What you're trying to do? You got to make the most money as possible. Sometimes I would leave the tenant in there. There's a thing called deferred maintenance. I really don't like to drop another $3,000 to $5,000. I look through the property. You're probably going to spend about $5,000, but that $5,000 is going to yield you $1,100. It's gonna rent like nobody's business, and for fun, you can put it on Craigslist for $1,100. You have photos, put it on Craigslist, not Privacy Act, not with their information on there, maybe just the outside photo, and see how much hits you get.
Yeah.
The next thing I would recommend if you are brand new to the game, now what? I would start pursuing software or an organizational management tool to keep track of this. Hopefully this is not your first deal.
Oh no.
And hopefully you have goals to have as many units as earthly possible within your scope of what you can do, your capacity.
Yes.
But you should definitely start thinking this way. If you can't afford a management software, and I recommend Buildium. Some people use Appfolio, Property Manager. Mr. Landlord has one. There's some free ones out there. You probably should tinker around, but no matter what, at least get a spreadsheet. No matter what, you should document. I drove over there at X amount of time on this date. We had this conversation, and you need to have it play by play played out, because when they stand in front of the judge, it's not the same conversation.
Okay. Thank you.
And, you might want to get a recorder. I mean, I another tip for you, I'm covering all kinds of crazy tips here, but every time I sit down with someone in this office and we sign a lease, we have a recorder out. You can go buy a little Olympus recorder, $35 to $100, 4 gigs of memory. You can do 1,000 leases on it. It records an MP. I'd recommend it. Sit down. Hey, just to be fair for you, we record every lease verbally, just in case we do forget something. If I say something that's not accurate, that we can trace it back. And it's also for training purposes as well. Every time I sit down with someone and do a lease, I record it, period.
It's on my list.
And so you should maybe bring the recorder. If it's dysfunctional, maybe keep it in your pocket. You just don't know. You're dealing with, if you're dealing with a female and it's 7:00 at night and it's dusk outside, he touched me. Yeah. I know that sounds psycho. I mean, I don't drive anywhere with young kids in the vehicle that are not my own without a parent present or some other, someone that can testify. I learned this from Billy Graham. I read a book from him. He was an amazing, changing the world, telling people about Jesus, and he would show up to a hotel room. There'd be a prostitute in there. I mean, it would tarnish his whole career as, all these Christians, and, he's such a great holy man. Well, he's human. He likes, I don't want to, I would assume he likes women, but now he has a bodyguard, and I'm assuming anyone at this stature, they go and vet the room out. And so just don't leave it to chance. How hard is it to spend an extra $50? I have a recorder I'd love to loan you in and hit record. And what is it going to take you? Nothing. Right. But this is, don't be lazy. And, rule number 55, treat this like a business. How do you want to be treated? With respect. But you just never know. I mean, I was on a property, showing a property one day, and this gal offered sexual favors to pay the rent. I mean, I'm being serious, and it scared me. I mean, where could this, now as a man, it didn't scare me, but I mean, but you work this hard to get to this part, and you do a slide deal with someone, and you just throw it. What if it did? And there's cameras everywhere. Oh, yeah. There's nanny cams. You just never know who's watching you. So if you just do it up above board on the front end, life will be a lot easier.
I appreciate that.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Mystery Man?
I'm pumped. It's nice to have this one behind me.
You got your first deal. You're locked up, and you'll figure it out. You got a great team around you. And if you have a comment out there, other investors, I know ladies, I'm talking on a male perspective. I'm assuming you've been hit on, which is sad, from a tenant or from another neighbor. And so you just need to be aware of these things, protect yourself. Another tool is have a flashlight taser. I was so proud of you, Mystery Man. I saw you on a property once. You already had a flashlight taser, $20, Amazon. It's a flashlight and has a built-in taser. It's not going to kill them, but what it does, it gets rid of dogs like pit bulls real fast. But you just never know what you're going to be on, never know what you're going to come across.
That's right. Be prepared.
All right. So hopefully this empowered you today. Hopefully you're motivated, and Mystery Man will be back. My name is Stephen Van Kalmberg. I am the Savvy Landlord. You are tuned in to the Savvy Radio Show. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at SavvyRadioShow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook, and always be buying assets.